Good morning, everyone. Microphone check. Screen check. Looks like everything is working correctly here. Good, good. Had a little bit of an issue with the link this morning, but I think we got that all taken care of, so everything should be updated and good. So, welcome, welcome. Hopefully you all had a fantastic weekend, and you're all ready to rock and roll, rested up, and all that fun stuff. Over by me, it snowed a little bit. It was kind of like that rainy snow, the in-between gross stuff. Really good for making snowmen and snowballs, but that's really about it. It's just kind of gross and blech over here. Hopefully your weekend was a little bit nicer. It's not so great on this side, but yeah, well, we'll take what we can get, I guess. Hopefully you all had a chance to rest up, though, and get ready for the day ahead. As per the usual, make sure to read through the morning prep PDF on the right side of the screen there. Very important to go through and understand everything that is inside there. Good morning, Stephen, Raphael, everybody else so far that's rolling in. Good morning. Get that all loaded up. See, I can see the chats now, so I know we're good. All right, good. I know we're loaded up in the right place. Anyway, don't forget to grab your morning DP levels. You'll notice they changed a little bit. I'm starting to prepare for the modifications as we go into the new year. And one of those things is modifying the markets that we're kind of honing in on. And like I've been talking about for a while, the euro is kind of on my S list, and now it's on the X list. It's off. So we're doing a couple things as we go into the new year right around the corner, and there's obviously going to be some weird hours and all of that. I think next week is Thanksgiving week. That's going to be all off, although the markets will be open, and we'll probably be in and out of chat on the Discord side. It's going to be a little bit funky, right? So things will be changing as we go along, but you know, everything will be posted here as per the usual if there are any updates. Sorry for the keys there. Anyway, don't forget to grab your morning DP levels. Those are posted for you in the morning this time. Instead of the major 7, it's just the major 5. Aw. But these are obviously the markets that we spend like 90% of our time on anyway. So really, that's basically all we look at anyway. I'm gonna have to get used to the new verbiage though. Nasdaq has a big old crude and Bitcoin. Nah, man, I don't have that one. I gotta figure that one out. Nasdaq has a big old crude Bitcoin. Now I don't know. Man, now I'm tossing myself in my own loop. I don't know. I'll figure it out. Yeah. Anyway, taking a look at the news, we can see obviously there's not a whole lot going on today. It's all medium news announcements, and it's CFTC. What? Those aren't the right news announcements. Hang on. What the heck? No, that is. Wow, CFT, that threw me off. The speculative net positions are usually on a Friday. What? Okay, no, that is right. That's really weird. Okay, well, like I said, we've got some anomalies coming up with the new year and all of that. Anyway, the news calendar is sparse. There's nothing that we really have to worry about on that side of things. So, I mean, honestly, there's really nothing that we have to deal with there. Really weird. It sounds weird without the mantra every morning. I know, right? I've got to figure out a way to do it. I'm not sure how to get it in there now. I don't know. We'll figure it out. We'll get there. Anyway, let's take a look at some charts, see what's all going on this morning. Obviously, the chart layout is going to reflect what the changes have been, getting rid of the euro, getting rid of Ethereum, in favor of just looking at Bitcoin and all of that. But we'll kind of go from there. Good morning, Ace, and everybody else so far. Lottie, good morning. We've got the Nasdaq, which is finally getting a migration back to the upside. And with the overall movement that we've got... Yeah, okay. I'm double checking everything now. Like, are my charts right? We've got a continuation back to the upside, and if you were in the VIP webinar this past weekend, or had a chance to kind of stick around, you can see what's going on right now. We've got some very interesting momentum that is attempting to get a rotation to the upside. One of the big things that stands out regardless is that if we did have falling resistance, initially it would have been up here. They tried getting the bull rally up and failed. When the market rolled back down, well, after that failure, that's where we are, like, right now. Okay, so spot on where we are as far as the Nasdaq goes. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that the bulls can't continue the breakout to the upside here on the Nasdaq, but it's very top-weighted, so it's got to be aggressive. We know that the Nasdaq is certainly capable of aggressive. That is in its rule book. That's totally fine. So, I mean, as it stands, you know, the bulls are looking relatively strong, and one thing that stands out here is we had a little bit of a gap away, and the question then becomes, well, have they filled the gap? No. And weekend gaps are really weird, because weekend gaps create this tension for the rest of the week. And next week is Thanksgiving week, right? So it's a really awkward week to have kind of a tension week going on. Very frequently, when you have any kind of gap after the weekend, it fills the same day within a couple hours, if not a couple minutes, depending on how big the gap is. If it doesn't fill by Monday, it usually goes on until like Thursday, Friday before it starts pulling back. So you can kind of see what I'm insinuating here. There's a potential for a really strong lift to the upside, right? There's great potential. The longs very much have a shot at taking this higher, and the shorts are very much stuck. Any attempt in the downside, myself included along that way, trying to rally up, which I just had to eat the loss. There's nothing you can do when it rallies up. Glad we took it on reduced risk. But this is one of those scenarios where if the sellers aren't taking their lumps on the way up, well, then they're still underwater. And we can figure out where that's from really easily, actually. If we take the volume and we look at the initial rally to the upside, and we see the overall momentum is bullish with an order flow POC landing right in the middle. Now, that's the impulse, remember. That's the bottom to the top of this move. And after that impulse was created, how did the market respond? Well, it looks like sellers tried getting it to go to the downside, and sellers failed, right? I mean, they didn't hold it. They did initially, and then it kind of rotated up, and then it starts looking like they get out at break even. We're not so sure, though, so when the market comes back, oh, wait a minute. we've got some issues here. Maybe these sellers are exiting at break even. And then we have further confirmation with that beautiful little trap on the lows and the rotation back up. We'll see what they can do with that. But, I mean, this kind of really tells us what's going on. Right? I mean, we've been talking about in the larger picture on the 60-minute chart, this is a much larger 5-wave structure to the upside. Right? We've got this wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, wave 4, wave 5. Now, it depends on how they want to complete it, but this fits, you know. Hey, Brad, how's it going? So as far as the continuation to the upside, I mean, this fits the bill. This looks like what it should be doing if the market's going to continue it higher. Now, that said, the upside objective is very obviously back up to the highs, and then that paints a larger picture too, because, well, a pullback after a 5-wave completion is usually just the 4th wave. That's still pretty bullish, right? That would mean that we're still sticking up here. There's a lot of really strong bullish context as we go into the end of the year here, and this definitely helps with this rallying up. Everything kind of fits as what they're looking for the continuation, to the upside. The location-wise is a little bit awkward because we are in falling resistance. If we can get back above it, you can see that point of intersection right there. Very interesting. Now, as we continue this back up, we have the shorts that are possibly stuck down at the lows. Remember, we got to paint the picture here, and it's just roundabouts. It doesn't have to be exact. We get the overall momentum with the first POC. Then we go up to the next high. Come here. We go up into the next high. We've got another POC a little bit further up. And then we go all the way up to where we are now. There's still no new POC. So we can see where the sellers are stuck from. They're stuck from right there. If they didn't take the losses on the way up, right? So those stuck shorts who are stuck from down there, well, they're going to have to look to mitigate and modify. And it looks like they built into positions a little bit here. And if the market goes sideways, very realistically, it could build a POC there. If that's the case, then that would give us a third, just playing theoretics. That would put a break-even point for the shorts roughly at around like 16,100s-ish. Just eyeballing it, right? It would be hovering in that zone. So, I mean, that's a spot, right? That's a spot of interest that could cause some issues. We'll have to wait and see what they want to do, but I don't know. I would really like to see them work through this resistance first. If we get that dip, we know where they're stuck from. Could be interesting. All right. Over on the S&P, pretty similar story. There's not really much of a difference. Excuse me. The S&P on the 60-minute is still, again, in a 5-wave structure. Wave 1, Wave 2, Wave 3, Wave 4, Wave 5. I'm not sold on the fact that this is Wave 1, Wave 2, Wave 3, Wave 4. I'm not sold on this being Wave 4, but remember what we have, the previous context. Wave 2 was an absolute disaster piece. So this can definitely be Wave 4. It went 2-3, 2-2. That's close, but I mean, it fits, you know? So that's kind of the scenario that we're dealing with on the S&P right now where, I mean, Wave 2 was disgusting. Wave 4, I'm not sold on this being Wave 4, but per the rules of what we have, I mean, it can be. You know, there's nothing wrong with it, is what I'm getting at here. If we're looking at the similar situation, we have the initial rally to the upside. This is a really dirty, gross kind of mess inside of here. This is a 60-minute chart, too, so let me go into the 15-minute chart before that has a mess on me. We've got the lows and the initial rally to the upside, seeing how the sellers want to respond to this, giving us an idea as to what the market wants to do, and the S&P built a POC down at 4150. With that POC at 4150, they rally up into a new high. Is there another one? Same to the Nasdaq? Or did they keep it? No, they got the same thing. So we've got another POC right there, and this is why I usually only analyze one, but as we continue to the upside, let's see if they have another one. Nope, not yet. Let's go up to the next high. Okay, so there are definitely no other POCs here either. Again, another situation where they could easily plot a POC and that would give them an average right around there. It looks almost identical visually to the Nasdaq, so not really anything else to be gained from the S&P. Over on gold, really strong continuation, finally, after they broke out of that funky, gross, messy nastiness. I mean, we've got this, you know, remember where we were, right? This thing looked like it was barbed wire to a T. Finally broke out of that disgusting movement and got some continuation. Once we have that continuation to the upside, the first rally up procured basically an L2. I mean, they really didn't have much, but the first rally was an L2 into another L2. This was a repetitious L2, worked out beautifully. Continued up into the highs, and then we have the next pullback. Did they ever pull back? Ooh, man! No way. Oof. Wow. Okay. What a gut punch that is, huh? So they got the L1. I mean, technically, they got it. That is an L1. I, obviously, along with the rest of the planet, is not able to respond to that. As we get the continuation up, they have a much more obvious L1, which did rotate into, finally, a new high. So if the market's going to pull back, we've got this kind of gross, really weird structure that's going on, and it would make kind of more sense with this L1, barely, into another L1, into another L1. We're seeing this kind of, maybe this is where they kick off and get crazy, or what I'm looking for, a deeper pullback to kind of regain the ground down here, just to give the market participants a chance to actually, well, participate. They didn't have a chance last time. Markets don't like those inefficiencies, so if they can pull down and kind of get into that area, that would be the big, heavy zone of interest. We'll see if they can dig down into those L2s on gold, but that is the spot, so that is what I'm going to hone in on. Let's get just the L2s. There. All right, gold looking good. Over on crude oil is a choppy, sloppy, gross, disgusting mess. On the 60-minute chart, we can see it's predominantly range-bound with, I mean, some really vicious highs. These are... Man, if you're a fan of traps, this is like looking at the Mona Lisa right now. We've got this, man, wow. We've got this rotation to the downside. They pop back to the upside. They double topped, sank all the way down to the lows. Got sellers really pinned into that downside move. We know why that was. Remember what happened here. This is on the inventories, and we were trying to get that long pop. The assumption was that the inventories were going to be bullish, and they came out bearish. So I jumped ship when we had that news. Thanks, Financial Juice, again, for the heads up on that news as soon as it came out. That was a really nice jump ship before it plummeted to the downside. Now, after that dip, I mean, really, all they managed to do was trap some previous lows, rotate back to the upside, and then, oof. Oh, man alive. Holy crap. They just knocked some teeth out right there, right in the face. Just nailed them. The overall trap on the top, obviously a lot of longs were trapped on that move, and they were trying to get the rotation up. They got the rotation up. Maybe they got their objectives. Who knows? But they bailed. This slide to the downside is seriously gaining some strength, and you can see them. I mean, look at it. Now, there's one of two things that's going to happen here. We either have an avalanche wedge structure, which we break out, higher low, and we go ripping all the way up to the highs. Then we see prices up into like the 87s and higher. Which, given the larger context on the 60-minute chart, it's pretty bullish. it's fair, okay. But that said, this also is kind of sitting in one of those... I mean, look at how awkward this structure is. We've got wave 1, wave 2, I guess? Gross inside there. That barely counts as wave 4 and then a wave 5. I mean, it's just, ugh. This really just kind of gross structure inside of here on the 60-minute chart. So, I mean, honestly, we have to look at the more recent in terms of what's going on in crude oil, and we can see that predominantly it's range-bound, but with some gnarly traps on the top. This seems like the market's trying to reach back and grab something. So if they're trying to reach back and grab something, it's probably stuck shorts, right? Let's see where they're at. First off, let's just save ourselves the hassle and do the whole thing in its entirety to see if it's just obvious. Okay. Fair enough. If we go a little bit further up to everything, then downside objectives, scalpers have filled, and we're resting right on top of the scalpers. So this is a really hot spot right now for crude oil. If the sellers are going to take this and they're going to dive down to that low-lying POC down in the 68s, they need to break through the 79s right now. Big spot here. And even then, there's still possible trapping in the 78s. It's like a $10 drop, but you can see it, right? I mean, if we look at the way that this is kind of appearing to the impulse highs, and we kind of see how the market is moving, right? Look at where all of that volume is at 67.85. We go a little bit sideways. Sellers are obviously stuck short, right? Stuck short, big time. So if they're stuck short and they're building up, what are they trying to do? They're trying to average up. So seeing them hold these scalp targets, that's important because those sellers averaged up and now they're scalping out of their positions. If it does dive down, a lot of times the 2-to-1s, 3-to-1s, etc., land right on where their original entry point was. I don't remember where the POC was. Let me put a line there and go across. There it is. Okay, so if we go from the top all the way down to the bottom, we've got their 2-to-1, their 3-to-1. Right inside there is the original entry point, 5-to-1, 7-to-1 on the downside. So realistically, if they're looking for downside objectives, first off, big volume bump right inside 2-to-1, and another giant volume bump going into 3-to-1 into 5-to-1. So if the market does dive down, very likely we're going to see a response at around 74. That's where all of the sellers will be taking their 2-to-1 objectives. And further than that, as they continue down, primary objectives for shorts who were stuck and have now built their averages up and are trying to break down, their targets are going to be 67.87 with a sub-objective at 70 for obvious reasons. We'll see if they can make it down there. If they can pierce through, then they've got the 5-to-1s, which are down at 66. We're talking some serious movement here. But remember, right now, we are perched on the cliff. They're sitting on top of the break-even for the short scalps that have averaged themselves up. We've seen this time and time again. They get the move down, they hold. All of a sudden, they start failing. Now we're above break-even, and then they go screaming higher. So understand the price structure. If it's not going, don't try to force it. That could really rip your face off. Where it's looking right now is halfway decent to see if they want to try to continue down. But man, is it really awkward location. Timing is great. Location is sort of weird. Bitcoin, they had that poke all the way up into the 69,000th. I think it was 69 exact on some exchanges, and then rotated all the way down to a new low, which was down in the 62s. If we're looking at that from a percentage perspective, remember the value percentage on Bitcoin typically lands in like the 35s. This is only 9.7. So from a much larger value perspective pullback type thing, this got a lot of this. There's a lot of space, right? This could very easily double itself down. I'm super tempted to draw the volume on here to see where everything's at, but that's going to crash my charts. We have to do it on TradingView. But we can see what's going on, right? Everything is looking relatively strong for the bears to try to rotate to the downside, but then they got stuck. And if the bears are stuck rotating down, the bulls have their shot to try to go up. But seeing them fail at these previous major swings, that's not great, right? We really need to see them get through that and hold that as support, not as resistance. Right now, they're still kind of on top of it. We're kind of awkward, but just piercing under. There's nothing saying that it can't just V-bottom and go back up again. But we're definitely in a little bit of a zone of concern. Likely, if I had to wager a guess, there's going to be a volume node somewhere inside of here. And if I had to wager an even closer guess, it'd probably be eyeballing it right around here for a POC. So if they're trying to rally back down or pulse back down for a POC, that would be the spot. Again, I'm just eyeballing it and assuming, but it would be at around like the 64,800s, which, you know, a couple $100 more to go. If the bulls want to take it. We'll see. All right. Let's swap over to the faster time frames here on the Nasdaq and see what's going on. As far as the 15-minute perspective goes, we already kind of know what's going on, but just, again, as a refresh as we zoom in, we have a weekend gap, and a weekend gap that is unfilled. Markets hate that. They don't like that at all. The markets really hate on unfilled gaps, especially after the weekend. Now, when the market is in a situation like this, we talked about this a little bit earlier, but one of two things happens. We have a situation where the sellers try to continue down and they fail and they get gapped up on. So we know that this is a short squeeze. We've already kind of discussed that. And during the short squeeze, we've gapped now higher. And where they were stuck from before, they couldn't even get a fill to get out. So a lot of shorts are in a real bad way this morning. If they didn't take their lumps on the way up. So one thing that a lot of traders are hoping for is that they build their averages up. And if we measure from the low all the way up to the high, the initial POC is what we want to see first. Where did the market respond and how did they respond to this first move up? So the first move up, predominantly, big volume node up at the top. My assumption would be that longs who were buying down here, they were accumulating in here for whatever reason, you know, whatever their trade plan is. They're liquidating with targets up here. But this is all on the impulse. That took very little time to create a POC like that. So we have to kind of see, like, well, wait a minute, how's the market responding to that? The sellers tried to pulse down, and they failed back up. So what did that look like? Let's go to that next little low. They've got a POC. It didn't move a whole lot, but we can see that the market was trying to stay underneath it. So, let's see. Did the scalpers have their objectives filled? Hey, what do you know? Scalpers had their targets filled. Even if they were shorting this, for whatever reason, they still had their targets filled. Now, again, this is mostly algo and just trying to figure out where shorts are, but if they got stuck down here, well, they got out. They're not stuck anymore. Or they're not stuck in as bad of a way. That said, as we continue up to a new high, we have another POC where the market started to churn back up. Now, it's very realistic to assume that some sellers or buyers that were a little bit nervous about giving up their profits may have gotten out underneath this bear bar. It's very realistic to assume that. Big engulfing bear bar, losing the POC, starting to pulse back down. Put yourself in the shoes of a long who was long down there. Do you want to give all that up? Probably not, right? So a lot of shorts, probably unintentionally, and again, I say shorts respectively that in the fact that they were longs going short, exiting their positions, longs exiting. Those longs are exiting their positions as sell orders, and they're selling out underneath that move. So we have to see, well, what happened? Well, it looks like JP and the crew gobbled it up like it was going out of style, right? Rotated all the way back up, and now we have FOMO. So we've got possibilities of stuck shorts, not massively stuck because the scalp targets were filled, but stuck shorts nonetheless, and FOMO to the upside with an unfilled gap. So, I mean, if the market does pull back, that's very likely going to be a big zone of support, but I mean, really, it's not too far underneath that to grab that last POC they left behind. Let's see what the weekend did if we go across to the next high. All of my data is bugged, so I can't see until we go across Sunday. The POC didn't really move a whole lot, 190. So as we go into the next high, 190 is still the POC. So if they are stuck, they're looking for their break-evens around the 190, and that's just underneath this. So you want to talk about worst-case scenarios for the shorts right now? What a phenomenal scenario for the Vindictors, right? The trappers, the ones who are hanging out in the shrubs with Murphy, out in the shrubs waiting for them to just mess up just a little bit. How many traders that are stuck short are trying to get out at break-even here that do you think JP, or in the crew, wants to screw with and pummel them into the settlement and not let them out at break-even? Right ahead of their break-even. Now, obviously, remember, we're talking about people who have thousands of contracts. They're able to liquidate in, liquidate out, in, out, in, out, and get their average. So it's really more of a nuisance. But remember, these are the mind games that they're going to play with each other, right? Why not make their life more difficult? Because why not? It's fun, right? And while their life is difficult, these longs make more money, right? So that's kind of the idea here. What's the worst case scenario for shorts? The worst case scenario is they don't get their break even. They tap settlement. The longs eat that settlement so aggressively that it spikes it back up to the highs, and we see another FOMO rally and a short squeeze for continuation to the upside. It's like the perfect storm. We'll see what happens. I mean, you know, again, there's a lot that can take place, but oh man, this could get real interesting. We'll see.
Russia's Putin and Belarus's Lukashenko have discussed Russian gas.
As far as the open is going so far, I mean, again, we've got that unfilled gap down there, but we've got a continuation up. Yeah, first cycle kind of, sort of. I mean, it's really gross looking, but they do have two legs up, I guess. Ugh. All right, bear cycle down, which is currently in play still. So we'll see what they want to do with it, but I'm on my other monitor trying to figure out where the next new high is. It's like, oh, wait. That's right. Nasdaq doesn't have one. Forgot about that. All right. Stupid all-time highs. They're so frustrating to trade into. I always have to remind and I don't know if you guys have the same problem. Trading into all-time highs, like all-time highs are like this for me, and I think a lot of people struggle with this too. It's like, man, it's the all-time highs. Like it can't go higher, right? But remember, this is something I have to tell myself over and over and over again. People thought the all-time high on Bitcoin was 3,000. You know, like just because it's the all-time high doesn't mean it can't go higher. And I always, personally, I have to remind myself of that because it's really tough trading at all-time highs when they're in a bull trend like this, forcing you to either buy at the top or wait. It's tough. Make this a little bigger. There we go. All right. 928 is the final modifications for orders at the open. Then, obviously, we've got the open right around the corner at 9:30. Nice, Ace. Good job. That's that nice rotation down. And, Steven, we've got the rotation down. Not the best thing in the world. I mean, it definitely spiked higher, but that's all-time highs. They're frustrating. That's a good example of it right there. You know, been there, done that. 1 minute till the open. Luckily, this time around, we did start pushing back, but be careful. I would really love to see that perfect storm down there in the 200s. 16,200, fill that gap. Leave all those shorts high and dry. Yeah, and Crow Coin going up to 52 cents. What? Wow. That thing's crazy. Open right around the corner. Open right around the corner. Big pulse to the downside. Seems like sellers are trying to reach out and grab something. I think we already know what that is. All right. Open hits. It's an AMC movie theater in here. Popcorn popping all over the place. Sell, 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 sell. Big drive down. Sellers still have some incredible pressure to the downside. Like to see a little continuation pulse up into like the 28s as an opportunity for the shorts. Way down here, we still have more momentum. I think we go further down to settlement. Ooh, bottom weighted POC though. Now hold up. We got to see how they respond to that. 5-minute POC bottom weighted at 217.15. Market says, nah, maybe. It makes sense why there's a lot of volume down here. Remember, stuck shorts. Sellers looking for that continuation phase. Really weak bull bar. Sellers will look for a continuation phase on a trigger underneath that. They got their continuation phase for the trigger underneath. Nice little scalp. Whoa, holy crap. That candle showed up out of nowhere. Whoa. Okay.
Bank of England's Governor Bailey says, I am very uneasy about the inflation situation.
Okay, big push to the downside. Now, this new drive, we're kind of challenging back down to those where those previous lows were. Gross. And now they're starting to break back above. Look at the candle formations. Bulls trying to stack up underneath the last candles. Nope, they gave it up. Bear bar back down. Okay. Oh, POC on the 5 minutes in the middle. What a fist fight.
Bailey says we now have much
closing above.
Risk.
This is that it's not the perfect storm scenario. I wanted the settlement. So far, just scalps, not really anything going on until we get down into those 190s, and then we get down into the swing territory.
Bailey says growth in the economy has started to flatten out.
All right. Ooh, big pulse back to the downside again. It doesn't seem like the bulls are holding on to anything yet. This is that next leg lower. Possible zone of resistance up in the 35s. Beautiful pulse back down. There it is.
Economy are two-sided.
This thing is jerking all over the place. My chart can't even keep up. Look at it, it's like it's glitching. It's like it doesn't know what's happening. We're watching 5-bit or 8-bit markets here. All right, bulls are continuing back to the upside. Whoa, holy crap, look at that 5-minute bar. 1 minute until it closes out. Whoa. Looking over on the other markets, we can see that gold's not really very helpful. We're still waiting for that L2 dip that I just accidentally moved. The larger picture is still bullish, so I want to see a bullish continuation. We don't have it. Crude oil is currently down, but we need a correction. We need something to actually like go into. The overall momentum on crude, we've got the L4 with a continuation down into an L1 that did hold. and then pulled back into an L2, continued down another L2. So, I mean, we've got to wait for like an L2 before anything happens. And that would be a swing to the downside. Nasdaq originally had sell-side resistance up in the 35s, 36s. Now that turns into support. Those sellers, well, that didn't work, obviously, for them, unless they were taking scalps, and that's all they took. Big jump back to the upside. And look at that 5-minute bar. Whew. 37.25 is the 5-minute POC on the Nasdaq, and what a vicious 5-minute bar that is. S&P, nowhere even similar. 88.75 is the POC ending on that one. What a possibility of a trap, maybe, I guess, but yeah, man. I don't know. The Nasdaq has a totally different look.
Transition out of the furlough scheme has not raised unemployment.
35 half-ish becomes support now for a continuation phase to the upside.
Bank of England's Governor Bailey says the big question for me is that I think the situation is looking considerably tighter in the labour market.
Not getting the slide that I wanted. Oh, tried to exit and didn't even get a fill. All right. We're dealing with the open. Nice little pulse back down into the POC. And I'll take that as the exit. Thank you. Jeez. Vindictive SOB. I'm out now. Done for the day. Awesome work, Ace. Great job. I tried picking up the aggressive little scalp long on that dip, assuming that the shorts who were trying to get this move going to the downside failing, looking for a break even. They obviously didn't take a break even. Ended up buying into the bottom weighted POC, liquidating at break even. That one did not operate the way that I was looking for. Yeah, with that pulse down, why not? Seriously, great job. Now, they're still holding that POC. Danger, Will Robinson.
Bailey says the labour market is the...
I tried to let you know my movie. Oh, that's funny. All right, well, sellers so far are not really proving anything. They're kind of having a difficult time. I tried grabbing the long, though, and that certainly didn't work, so I'm gonna hold off for a minute and see what they want to do here. Yeah, I guess it kind of worked.
Bank of England's Governor Bailey says the structure of the labour market is very different to the 70s.
Why are we moving so much on Bank of England?
Bailey says he would play down comparisons with the 1970s.
Like, are we that starved for news headlines? I'm just kidding. Sellers failing to get that rotation back through the POC, so the bulls are winning it. Ooh, okay. Nice pop to the upside. Sellers not really winning any fights, that's for sure.
Bank of England's Governor Bailey says we are seeing an increase in dispersion of wage settlements.
Well, in hindsight, I should have ignored the fact that my first long failed and and just held on to the second one. Jeez. Don't do that. Oh, man. That's why the hindsight account is in the billions. Quadrillions at this point. We've got more continuation to the upside. So far, the sellers aren't winning any fights, and we can kind of see the painted pictures. Sellers are getting stuck. They're not getting the rotation, that's for sure. They kind of lost their grip a little bit earlier here, going into the 932, 933 open. A little bit of gross flippy-floppy going on in the 936s. Feels like they've got to make up their minds now. There's no major news or anything like that, but there was some minor stuff, I believe, at 945, right? Maybe that does something. It was CFTC speculative net position, so probably not.
Bank of England's bill says the
nice little pulse to the downside.
Shows premium paid for jobs. It says Bank of England's pill there saying that the rec survey on labour shows premium is paid for jobs.
All right, big drive to the downside, back to that previous POC. Let's see how they respond. 5-minute PO. Oh man, look, I mean, look at the 5-minute chart. Jeez. Okay, little bit of a bump to the upside, but almost non-existent after that. Sellers driving through, trying to get through that POC. Oh, kinda. Man alive. All right, market's still kind of hanging on to that POC.
If firms boost prices to wage. Bank of England's man says the question.
Seller's initial POC was up in the 35s, which they kind of lost. It's actually still there. Man, what a fist fight here. Get down, get that settlement, maybe? Nice bear bar back below the POC on the short side. Sellers have a shot here. Sellers definitely have a shot here. Sell side picking up the heat a little bit. Can they get a pulse back up into those 27s? Looking for a continuation phase off of that. Wow, big pulse back up into the 31s. Big zone of interest up there, too. Reducing to around that break-even point to liquidate a bit of the risk. But I still like this for a potential attempt to the downside, but they lost the POC. So the sellers have to show up to the party sooner than later.
Bank of England's man says I see potential softness in pricing power.
All right, I'm going to jump ship there. They couldn't get the job done.
Prospects.
Tried to grab a continuation short on the break of the POC, but they couldn't follow through. Now that I'm out, they will. We know how that is. It's all good. I mean, we're stuck inside the middle area. We know that they're trying to vindict. I just don't want to deal with building into a position through all of this because the major zone is down here in the 190s. So I would rather just liquidate in the break-evens and play the scalp game for now until we get to a better zone. The sellers are obviously trying, but not in the way that I want them to. 16,230 is the POC now on the 5-minute chart. Still no closes underneath it. More continuation pulsing down. See if they can break a new low. If they can break a new low underneath that last swing down here, that will actually do quite a bit because we haven't had any confirmed swings since 9 quarter.
Gilt purchase operation, and ECB's to cost as midterm inflation is still below our 2023 target.
All right. Looking to see if the bulls can gauge a little bit. Woo! Wow, big continuation pulse to the upside. Looking for the bulls to follow through. Holy moly. I like this for a slightly larger move up to the 38, 39s, possibly even further. Really, really good momentum on that lift to the upside. A lot of shorts are going to be thinking, what the crap just happened? I'm buying kind of in the middle, so I'm going to hold off being too aggressive. Now if we can get a better price, though. There we go. Still going to keep it on the light side. I really like this area for the continuation pulse.
The gilt purchase operation will be rescheduled according to the Bank of England.
Bulls looking for a continuation pulse back to the upside. Still trying to mess around with a POC in the middle. A lot of wicks going on here. Woof. Market just herky-jerking around. Man, there's a lot of wicks going on here. What a mess. There we go. There we go. Get that pulse. Get the pulse. Keep on pulsing. Beautiful continuation. Little bit of a dip back down. Man, this is so wicky in here. Holy crap. A lot of resistance stepping up back again in the 230s. See if these 27 POCs can hold off. 230s building up a POC on the 5-minute as well. Retesting break even. Holy crap! Big jump to the upside. Well, it's pretty obvious what's going on here. Big move back above. See if they can keep this thing going. Holy crap. Alright, rotating back down again. Bulls picked up the break even like it was going out of style. Is there any follow through?
With a wide skills shortage.
Starting to crack underneath the break-even point. Or not.
Bank of England Saunders says that the likelihood of a general pickup in inflation is high enough to justify raising rates now.
Closed firmly above the break-even point and then pulsed down.
Resolve all Northern Ireland protocol issues. More comments from Bank of England Saunders here as well. Says there is a high chance of general upward pressure on pay. Saunders adds that we are not.
All right, beautiful pulse back up.
1970s inflation.
And sticking the landing. Good. Can they get through the 230s this time?
EU Sefcovic says the immediate issue of medicines will be a litmus test for the ability to solve all process
Okay.
issues.
I think that tested 230 quarter. All right, and hearing some popcorn, I'm going to liquidate the last portion. No thanks. Bull's having a really difficult time trying to get it going. Had a beautiful first target. Couldn't get a second target to go. Man alive. Tried and tried and tried and tried and tried. 230 POC on the 5 minute, now holding underneath. A big heads up from Tick Strike showing the popcorn. I mean, if I'm trying to hold a runner and I'm hearing that, that's that's a red flag right there. All right, another new low. Sorry. Ooh, big pulse to the downside. Here's the settlement. What do they want to do? Holy crap, did you see the time and sales light up like a Christmas tree? Whoa! Okay. Now hang on. Just the impulse. Yeah, right there. 201.75. Just measuring the impulse. Where's the break even? 190. They have not gotten out at break even yet. That 190 is everything right now. Woo! Oh, 91.75. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Oh, okay. Bull bar back up. Can they finish it? Oh, 90.50. Oh, no. Bull bar back up again. We are in the worst case scenario for shorts who are stuck. 90.50, 2 ticks from their break even. The time and sales is lighting up like a Christmas tree right now. This thing is New York Central. Holy crap. There, they got it. 90. Shorts are out. Break even. Gone. They got it. Holy crap. All right, now we can see what they want to do with this. They got the break even. The worst case scenario is off the table. Dang it. We are back above the POC at 195.
Governor Bailey says my statement in October about a need to act on rates was deliberately conditional.
Deliberately conditional. And now the only real POC that we have to work with is, I mean, like we've got to go into Friday, back down to this low. And I don't think they've changed. Yeah, 230. It's just stuck there. So the longs tried getting that long around 230, myself included. But when the warning signs were shown, time to jump ship. Seems like they jumped ship. If they were looking for shorts, shorts dominated. They took back over. I was not looking for a short. Let's look at the other time frame now that we've got a little bit of a second to breathe here. We are seeing the resistance stepping up on the Nasdaq off of that top, and the top of the previous channel isn't showing up. S&P's almost down to settlement, not quite there. Or is it? Did it? Jeez. Did they to the tick? They did it to the tick. Okay, fair enough. Got it, I guess.
Bank of England's Governor Bailey says no one at the Bank of England said it would raise rates in November.
All right. Big jump to the upside, but this just seems like the sellers got their break evens. I mean, it's all painted out right there.
It's critical that the Bank of England made clear the primacy of inflation for its...
That whole POC is still at the same spot, though. So, nothing changes from there. We've got the objective to the downside for the shorts. The break-evens are out. They dodged the worst-case scenario. Good on them, I guess. It's no fun for us. Top of the hour, 10 o'clock, right around the corner, 5 minutes. Get those last questions in on the morning side of things, and then we'll start wrapping it up and heading over into the VIP side. Okay. Bull's starting to step up to the plate a little bit. That 230 is a big balance point. Big balance point. Yeah, the Crow coin. Holy crap, Crow coin, topping out at 52.5 cents, 52.6. I mean, we'll probably get a pullback. Let's be realistic. That's a huge move. But still, holy cow. What would today's numbers be? I've been tracking it since the YouTube video launched, just to try to see where it's at. So even up here, a dollar divided by 44233. 2.2 coins. Okay. Sure. It's not what I wanted to do, but yeah, we'll go with it. 2.2. This is now 58 days. 4.3. There we go. All right.
Bank of England's Governor Bailey says, given high uncertainty,
Crow's doing just incredible. Historically, Crow coin, their pullbacks, value pullbacks on Crow, and we'll look at that more when we get into the extended session. We got more time. But it's been around like 25 to 35%. So if you're looking at it from a value perspective on Crow coin, from the top to where it is now, if it were to go like a 25% value pullback, that would put it right around 40 cents. If we get a 35% value pullback, that would put it back at the last left behind POC at 34 cents. Both of which are massive zones of interest. Testing the POC at 16,230. So far from, I mean, what is this, an L4? We've got like nothing to work with. Yeah, it's an L4. The bigger picture is obviously still bullish and looking for the bullish continuation. I think this dip is nothing more than a swing long opportunity for longs. But as it stands, 230's in the way. Ooh, big test at 232. Okay. I'm sorry, 230 as well. Okay. Jeez, that POC test on the 5-minute chart looks like a mangler. Holy crap. You best watch out. Bulls trying to get the rally up through 16,230. Got the popcorn going again. Sellers coming in off those 230s. Couldn't get above it.
Saunders says the risk of delaying too long on raising rates is that they have to go up a little faster and further.
Oh, I love it. Bulls trying to get it again. Can they get it this time? $10 on the nose. Tested it again. Now with 10 o'clock, we are heading into. What's that sound? That sound is the the Price is Right whenever you lose. That's the bump bump bump. No. Every time they lost on one of their bets, that's the sound that would play. Just unmerciless, just merciless. Oh man, I loved it. Those are the days. If you haven't seen Price is Right, or if you're outside of the U.S. and you're not sure what I'm talking about, or I think it's outside of the U.S. too, right? Before Drew Carey took over, not him. Before him, although I think he's done better now. But back in Bob Barker days, get the Bob. That's where it's at. 10 o'clock, last call for questions. We'll get those in, and then we'll swap over to the extended session. What a day, what a day. And then if you're going to be ducking out ahead of the extended session, if you've already had a good morning and you don't want to risk it, I don't blame you. Good job. Congrats. If you've had a bad day in the morning, that happens as well. Try to go through and understand what is happening, right? Learn from what took place. If you did have a bad day and they are something that you want me to cover for you, feel free. Shoot me a chart. Drop them in Discord. Shoot me a message when we go into the extended session, and we can cover those for you. Or if it's via email, if you want a more detailed response, jhb@ssftg.com. Good or bad, I'm always there for you. So one way or the other. Either way, though, that's going to do it for the morning side. Hopefully I didn't miss any questions, but if I did, you know where to get a hold of me. Let's jump over into the extended session, rock and roll over into there, and then we'll see what we can get going. man, we're back into the settlement again. All right, let's switch over, and then we'll go from there. If you're jumping out, though, hopefully you had a great day, and we'll see you all tomorrow. All right, have a good one. We'll talk to you all later. Thanks.